What's up, Spud Nation? 2014 fantasy football season is upon us. Sorry for the lateness of this show. We're going to be hitting on some risk-reward players, sleepers, some busts, get you ready for your draft. Hopefully your draft hasn't passed you by, but I have been kind of busy. Not only growing this wonderful beard out, but here's my son Lawson. He's now almost 3 weeks old. He's getting up there. Hey, he's ready to help us with each and every week of fantasy football. We're ready to go. So, let's get started. I've had a lot of questions about strategy when you enter your draft. A lot of it depends on where you're drafting. You're a top 5 pick, you got to go running back or one of the top tier quarterbacks depending on scoring in your league. There are just absolute home runs that you need to hit. You're a top 5 pick, you got to target LeSean McCoy, Jamal Charles, Adrian Peterson. You can even throw Eddie Lacy in there, and guess what? Peyton Manning, can he duplicate the 55 touchdowns? Who knows, but he is the top guy at quarterback. And then you throw in a wrinkle at the end of a draft. I helped a guy in Arizona. He had the 8th pick. Well, 8 out of 12, we ended up going top-level wide receiver, Demaryius Thomas, on the way back. Hit a top-level wide receiver once again. We sprinkled in there a top-level quarterback. We ended up getting a top defense, one of the top 5 tight ends, and then our running backs were mediocre. We built later in the draft with a lot of risk-reward players at running back. You're going to run into, generally speaking, the risk-reward players are rookies, so that's where the risk takes place. The bottom line is, it all depends on where you're picking, your point system within your league, and then you just go from there. I love it when people target players they like. Fantasy football is supposed to be fun. Yes, everyone wants to win, but target a player you like. I had the number 3 overall pick in my draft last night. Calvin Johnson is my favorite player, and I went and I took Calvin Johnson. I was very happy with my draft. That's all you can look for, Spud Nation. Be happy with your results. So, alright, let's get started. Quarterback. I feel quarterback's very straightforward this year. Not a whole lot of risk-reward, not a whole lot of boom or bust, but there are a few that I will throw out there. Josh McCown. I like him a lot. I like his situation. He looked great down in Chicago last year, filling in for Jay Cutler, and he's put into a very similar situation. 2 big wide receivers, a very, very capable and talented running back, a big tight end. He has basically the same situation set up for him. So, a lot of people are overlooking Josh McCown, though, this year. I like him. I ranked him number 10 overall. I might have been shooting a little too high with that, but the situation presented itself. I like where he landed. And you know what? Great number 2 quarterback for you if you aren't comfortable with him being your starter. Cam Newton. I feel sorry for the man. He's got a whole plethora of running backs. He's the most talented runner on the team, but yet they don't want him using his legs. And then they go ahead and get rid of every receiving target that he has. They bring in Kelvin Benjamin. I understand that. But rookie receivers usually do not pan out the way that veteran receivers do. Cam Newton needs help. That's why I'm calling him a bust. ESPN has him ranked number 4, much too high for my liking. Johnny Manziel. This will be the last quarterback I touch on. I feel the rest of them are very just where they're supposed to be. You know who the studs are. You know who the mid-level guys are. You're going to get a good quarterback 1 through 12. So Johnny Manziel, I'm calling him a sleeper. Yes, it was announced today that he is not the starter. I don't think that'll last very long because Manziel, well, he's talented. And in the fantasy world, he's going to be electric. So, for those of you who have not drafted, Johnny Manziel is not too big of a risk to take late in your draft. Have him sit a couple weeks, but when he gets to play, he's going to put up numbers. Think Tim Tebow. Not the greatest quarterback on the field in the NFL, but in the fantasy world, he's going to score you points, and that's what we're all looking for. Let's head over to running backs. Let's start with Montee Ball. Love Montee Ball. Loved him last year. Got a little too excited, thought he was going to be the workhorse that he is set to be this year. Monty Ball is a huge risk-reward play, and I'm saying risk-reward because he's ranked in the top 10 in everyone's preseason rankings. He has the perfect situation. He's got a good offensive line. He's got a Hall of Fame quarterback. They have a million weapons for Manning to throw to, and Monty Ball's not going to see very many heavy fronts. All that being said, Denver also likes handing the ball to their running backs in the red zone. It's set to be a huge season for Monty Ball. If you have him in your sights, pull the trigger. You will be happy. Toby Gerhart. This is another guy. I call him a sleeper, and you know why? Because he is going to get touches. Half the game in fantasy football is opportunity, and Toby Gerhart has plenty of it. They're going to force feed him the ball, especially with Chad Henne at the helm. Gerhart's going to see plenty of heavy fronts, but when he's touching the ball 20 plus times a game, that should turn into scoring. Steven Jackson, bust. Unfortunately, it looks like the old man is getting run down, and plus he has a rookie on his heels getting ready to steal all his touches in Devonta Freeman. Sorry, Steven Jackson, you've had your days. It's just not this season. Knowshon Moreno, bust. He went from a perfect situation in Denver to a not-so-perfect situation in Miami. Good luck. It doesn't look pretty for your success this season. Stephen Ridley, we all know how the hoodie treats him. It's not well. Stephen Ridley fumbles one time, he sees the bench for the next 5 or 6 games. On top of that, they have Shane Vereen, who they like a lot, and also one of my sleepers, James White, who has been setting New England on fire. They love him. They're talking downs 1 through 3. James White could be on the field, which spells big disaster for Stephen Ridley owners. James White, free agent in many leagues. He's now catching on. Everyone's starting to talk about this kid, so he's going to be drafted. If he's available for you in your league as a free agent, go pick him up, be proactive, and get him on your team before the hoodie makes the switch. It's coming, just not sure how quickly it's going to happen. Trent Richardson, bust. He looks afraid to run the ball. That's never good when he's supposed to be your workhorse. Stay away from drafting him. I talked about Devonta Freeman. Looks great. If nothing else, he will start the season as a third down back, catches the ball out of the backfield, and has looked very sharp to this point. Ben Tate, he's gaining some steam right now, which is great for Tate owners. He's going to be splitting carries, if not earning a few more, like a 60-40 split with Terrence West. But Ben Tate, when healthy, is a very deserving runner. Dre Archer. Is he a receiver? Is he a running back? Either way, he's going to be on the field for Pittsburgh. He's a big play guy. Again, sleeper type player, of course. So, you're looking for big plays. You're looking for a guy who can get you some points, maybe even hit you a home run or two. Dre Archer is your guy. And on most fantasy sites, he's listed as a running back. So, keep that in mind. Robert Turbin, running hard for Seattle, should get the number 2 spot in their depth chart. Most people thought it was going to be Christine Michael. It is now Robert Turbin, so keep an eye on that. You Marshawn Lynch owners, there's your handcuff right there. Robert Turbin, that's the guy you want. Rashad Jennings, he's looked fantastic. That two-headed monster for the Giants, him and Andre Williams, looks great. Bishop Sankey, he's going to get a ton of opportunity. He's a talented runner, and Tennessee is going to hand him the ball a ton. And lastly, Carlos Hyde. We are one Frank Gore injury away from Hyde being a top 10 running back in the fantasy world. He's not a bad guy to draft, stash on your bench, just in case. Because if Gore goes down, everyone is going to want Hyde on their roster. We'll talk about one last bust. The two old guys for Oakland, MJD, Darren McFadden. I'm staying away from that at all costs. I don't want either of them on my team. Injury prone, and both have looked less than spectacular. Wide receivers, Victor Cruz, staying away from him. I don't trust his quarterback. ESPN has him ranked number 12. I'm going to chalk that up as a bust. He is not worth one of the top 12 wide receiver selections in your draft. Keenan Allen, he has got stud and sleeper written all over him. He's ranked number 14. I'm going to call it a sleeper because young man could be ranked much higher. He's the number 1 in San Diego. He had an outstanding rookie season, and he is going to duplicate plus build on that this season. Keenan Allen is a must-have for your lineup. Cordero Patterson. I personally am going to live and die by Cordero Patterson this season. I've drafted him in every single draft. I am very high on him. I have 100% faith in what he can bring to the table. Minnesota is talking about using this kid any which way they can. Line him up in the backfield, run reverses with him, send him deep. Now, can he find a quarterback to get him the ball? That's the big question. Patterson has all the tools. He just needs someone to get him the rock. Michael Floyd, ESPN ranked him number 25. This kid is dynamic. Larry Fitz sees a lot of coverage and leaves Michael Floyd one-on-one, leading to big production for him. Golden Tate loving his new home in Detroit. Again, same situation as Michael Floyd. Calvin Johnson sees double, triple coverage. Golden Tate's going to see a lot of one-on-one coverage and should be very, very excited about that. Sammy Watkins, ESPN has him at number 49. I agree with that ranking to some extent. Sammy Watkins, most rookie receivers are not very productive. Watkins will see high volume throws, which leads me to believe he should get some points this year. Opportunity is huge, and Watkins should see a bunch of that this season. Kelvin Benjamin, same boat. I wasn't as high on him coming into the draft this season, but he's shown signs of life this preseason. Cam Newton and him are building a repertoire together. Some trust is being built. Benjamin is big, tall, showing a little bit more speed than we thought. He's worth a look in your draft. Start him as a wide receiver 4. Possibly, if you carry 5 wide receivers, he is very deserving as a 5th wide receiver, and let him earn his way into your starting lineup. Eric Decker for the Jets. A lot of questions on him. People don't like his quarterback situation. People don't think he can handle being a number 1. Well, my question to you is, who else are they going to throw the ball to in New York? He has 2 quarterbacks who can chuck the ball, and I like what Decker brings to the table. He's shown he can be very productive. I know it was in Denver. I know there were other weapons drawing coverage, but Decker can go get it, and I like what he can do. Wide receiver 3, let him earn his way into wide receiver 2 territory. Marquise Lee, he's shown very, very great signs this preseason. Cecil Shorts will come back, take away some of his touches, but Lee has looked sharp. There's the starter that you wanted in Jacksonville. Hopefully Chad Henne can stand upright and can get him the ball. Some sleepers. Kenny Britt for the Rams. Surpassing Stedman Bailey. He's climbing the depth chart. And Kenny Britt, he's shown production many, many years ago. Let's see if he can do it again this year. Marcus Wheaton. Love him in Pittsburgh. He's a great fit. Look for him to be the number 2 receiver. Antonio Brown's going to get a bunch of coverage. Look for Marcus Wheaton to be very productive. Percy Harvin, I think he's a bust. I stay away from him because he is an injury waiting to happen. It happens all the time, and it's not just minor injuries. They are major, season-ending type injuries. Steer clear. ESPN ranks him way too high. I stay away. Brandon Cooks is the last guy. Plenty of questions on this guy. A lot of overexcitement, a lot of people overreaching for Brandon Cooks. Fantastic quarterback. I get it. Marquise Colston is still there. The thing that gets me about the Saints receivers, and you could say the same thing about Saints running back, there are so many of them, and there is not one guy that Drew Brees targets on a consistent basis other than Jimmy Graham. I can't handle the roller coaster ride with any Saint receiver. One great week, 4 off weeks. One great week, 4 off weeks. I will survive the one great week and keep my sanity through the 4 bad weeks. I stay away. If you want to ride that roller coaster, Brandon Cooks is a later round draft pick. Lastly, some tight ends. Kyle Rudolph. Norv Turner is going to make Kyle Rudolph a stud. They love this guy. He knows how to use tight ends. Look at Antonio Gates. Kyle Rudolph ranked number 10. I think he can be ranked a few spots higher. Possible breakouts at tight end. Zach Ertz, high-powered offense, very talented young man. Dwayne Allen, when he's on the field and healthy, he showed production. Yes, I know it was for all of 5 seconds last season, but he did catch a touchdown, and we know Andrew Luck is the real deal and likes his tight ends. Probably the biggest risk-reward player in the draft this year is Rob Gronkowski. Gronk, to this point, has been practicing, although it has not been any contact. He's still out there playing. We're hoping that he starts the season ready to play and on the field. If that's the case and Gronk stays healthy all year long, he could possibly be the number 1 tight end. Yes, that's taking over Jimmy Graham's position. Gronk has shown huge ability to get in the end zone. But again, risk-reward. I've seen Gronk go as early as the 3rd round and as late as round 5 in drafts. It all depends who wants to pull the trigger and who wants to take that gamble. Alright, Spud Nation, that's about it for this. Getting you ready for your draft. Do you have any questions, comments, concerns? Hit me up, please. Craig@thesportscouch.com or my Facebook page, The Sports Couch. My Twitter, @TheSportsCouch. Alright guys, till next time, we're out.